Good late afternoon, or depending where you are, good morning, or even good evening. This is Jennifer Tebow. Today is Thursday, May 30th, 2013, and I'm on fire with my Spreaker.com broadcast. I said I was going to walk away after the last one, but I just couldn't help myself. One more. I talked a lot this morning about the idea of consulting, and consultants, they have a fee, right? They charge. Some consultants charge quite a bit. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. But either way it goes, there's usually a bill involved when you're dealing with a consultant. Reality is, when you're dealing with a consultant, sometimes it's the greatest decision you could have ever made to consult with someone who's probably an expert in an area that you need the expertise, or that you didn't need, or you didn't know that you needed. But once you talk with them, you realize you can grow in a new and better direction for yourself personally or for your career. So consultants have a definite positive place in our lives, but they cost money. So I'm going to do the unthinkable, the absolute unthinkable, and I'm going to give you for free. I consult, and people hire me to tell them some ideas and kind of help them execute. So I'm going to give you the ideas for free. How about that? I am a little idea machine, I think. The machine itself is little, but big ideas, right? And I think of things all the time of what is possible, but the greatest thing is that I also jump in and implement the possibilities. So I can not only tell you what might be a good idea, I can tell you I've already done it and exactly how to accomplish it. So 3 things that just kind of stand out. They're game-changing ideas, and there's a reason why I call them game-changing. Because sometimes when we get into the moment of competing, the entry fee a lot of times means that everybody that's in the heat, right, that's in the competition, they're all really good, which means there's just very little that distinguishes one competitor from the next. So being able to implement something that is a game changer, that creates that gap, that space, so that customers can make a clear decision between somebody else and you, that's invaluable. Sometimes that's the difference maker between being profitable, and that's as an individual or as an organization, and losing money, having to lay off, or whatever it may be, so we definitely want to talk about the game-changing ideas that can get you there. And you can hire me to ask me how to implement it. I'll be happy to let you do it, let you do that. But let's talk about the first one. 3 ideas. Idea number 1, broadcast weekly on Blog Talk Radio. So I just talked about in the last broadcast, broadcasting over the web. I'm going to be very specific here. Broadcast weekly on Blog Talk Radio. And mind you, there are other broadcast formats, so I'm not advocating one over the other. I'm going to give you some specific information about Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio has a free account, which that's really nice, right? But they also have paid accounts that are very affordable. I think the lowest level paid account is like $39 a month. Whether you are a paid account or the free account, you get an opportunity to broadcast daily. Depending on if you're free or a paid account, depends on the amount of time that you can broadcast. And then some of the bells and whistles that you get as you pay more money, like eliminating their commercial and advertising and putting your own, that kind of stuff. It all depends on what you pay for. But what can broadcasting weekly, now those are very specific words, on Blog Talk Radio mean? Well, number 1, Blog Talk Radio, when you broadcast, people can connect on their phones with whatever's being broadcast on Blog Talk Radio. That's really nice and convenient. They can connect online, which is really nice and convenient. And they can also optionally connect via the telephone. Because again, Blog Talk Radio is just radio on the internet. So they don't need to see you. They just want to hear you. So even if they're driving, let's say they're in morning traffic, people can still connect and listen to your message, your live message. But everything also gets recorded. So it turns into a podcast. Well, why is that important? Well, now you create evidence. I'm very big on evidence, right? Now you're creating evidence of your work, which if you can do something once and leave a trail of your evidence, that's going to be the goal for you, because that live event now gives you mileage beyond the live moment. Also, with Blog Talk Radio, the podcast, you can connect them into iTunes. So therefore, when people are in iTunes, they can subscribe to your podcast, which means every time you broadcast on Blog Talk Radio, it automatically pops up for the subscribers. That's important. That's a connection point that helps you to get closer to your audience. Okay, so what does that look like in the corporate world? And why would that be important? Most companies don't decide to do Blog Talk Radio. But let me explain. When you're trying to find and attract new, interesting talent, what if you're an organization and you decide to talk about issues of talent or honing your skill or talent development every week? I bet you, now here I go with my gambling terminology today, I bet you're going to have all kinds of candidates, potential talent that's going to be tuning into you. Why? Because no one generally does that. No one generally packages up that kind of information on a weekly basis. So if you position yourself through Blog Talk Radio or a similar type of tool, but position yourself that every week, one of the people in your organization, as just a part of their role, is going to just deliver this information via a Blog Talk Radio, you give yourself incredible mileage in so many different ways. The live event, as well as the recording. You get a chance to talk about things that are important to your organization. So guess what? I always talk about this. I say you cannot attract what's not interested in you. Organizations may be very interested in attracting the best and the brightest, but if they've not made themselves attractive, the best and the brightest may not want to come work for them. That's a problem. You can only do so much. But one of the first things you need to do is make yourself attractive. And one of those ways is you got to put yourself out there, and you've got to be in a place where people can access you, your information, your sentiment, your spirit of how you're trying to meet your organizational goals and objectives, the passion for why you're there. That can be accomplished, that beginning connection point with a potential talent audience, through just the simple platform of Blog Talk Radio. So there's, lots of different ways I can tell you how to do it, but just, give me a call. Call me. But you can start off by just emailing me, fearless@jennifertebow.com, or going to LinkedIn. But again, that's a unique way. If you go to Blog Talk Radio now, you'll find companies really aren't doing that, which means if you do it, now you become kind of at the forefront of that way, that new way of connecting with talent. So just an idea. But it's also a unique way to connect with your customers. Let's pretend you are a potato chip company. I'm just throwing that out there. No company in particular in mind. And you want to find out what is the next thing for your customers, taste-wise, packaging, whatever it may be. You can create this unique community where you're connecting online to talk about, hey, let's talk about your funniest potato chip moment. And it could be something that comes across as entertainment, but it's a way to start connecting with your audience. While you got them there, great opportunity to talk about the latest and greatest chip that's on its way out. Or if people want to test the newest potato chip line, they can go to blah, blah, blah. Whatever it may be, you get a chance to connect. Blog Talk Radio gets attention. And once you got the attention, you get a chance to connect with people. But again, you can't get there if you're not out there. So that's idea number one, broadcast weekly. And you got to do it often. People tend to put all of their eggs in one basket, right? They tend to say, I'm going to do this big old event, spend a lot of money and time, and then they don't carry anything forward. People like this episodic way of connecting. So weekly helps people do it. It helps people put it on their calendar to anticipate when the next event is and the topic that they want to hear about. Now, if you're a company, you can do that for external audience, but you can also do internal broadcasts that are of a radio format for your employees, for your team members. What a great way to connect your organization. I don't care if you have 50 people or if you have 50,000 across the world. What a unique way to connect to your team than to have this weekly connection point. So weekly is very, very important. People need to feel like they're on the journey with you. If you just pop up on a path and then disappear, nobody's going to be looking for you. in my child's term, nobody's checking for you. You got to be there every single week. Okay, that's idea number 1. Idea number 2. Okay, ready for this one? Publish at least annually. Okay, so what do I mean by that? A lot of people individually say that I've always wanted to publish, to write a book and blah, 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 blah. Do it. What are you waiting on? There's all of these self-publishing tools out there. And again, I'm not promoting one tool over the next. I have used Amazon's tool, Create Space. Go to createspace.com, something of that nature. But just Google it and you'll find it easily. Create Space is a great self-publishing tool. I've also used Lulu.com, Lulu.com. I've used their self-publishing tool as well to publish different content. But I'm telling you all this to say that the availability of publishing tools is there. What is nice about publishing through CreateSpace is that once you do, your product is automatically in Amazon for sale, right? So Amazon, I don't need to tell you the millions and millions of people and traffic that flows through Amazon.com. So you're in great company as far as being positioned on a path for purchase, but also positioned on a path for credibility. If in fact you want to demonstrate some area of expertise or connecting, having a product like a book product or DVD, CreateSpace does DVD, CD, and books very, very well. Having one of those 3 products published and available for purchase really does separate you from I should do it one day to I did it and you can go to this link and get it. Okay, so how does that make sense for a corporation? I'm on the talent tip today, okay? So let's just think about this. We talk about top talent quite a bit, and I remember having a conversation with a HR department, and they were telling me that they had this list of top talent that wasn't necessarily within their organization, but that they've been kind of monitoring. So I asked the all too important question. Is my name on the list? Keep in mind, they really wanted to work with me. And they said no. And I said, well, that list is incomplete. and the list was so short, it was almost sad. Like they literally had 30 or 40 people in some categories. And if you're talking about you've really been building a database, 30 or 40 people, you could probably build that in less than half a day with all the tools out there, Monster, LinkedIn, and all that. So, be real about what you're interested in. So how could that look in the real world if I am a member of an HR team and I'm trying to tell my team and my company we should publish something? Why don't you publish annually, tips and trends on getting the next best job, developing to the next best promotion, and you produce that as an organization? Guess what happens? People buy that product and they say, wow, they've got the right idea. And inside that product, you can have all of the advertising you could dream of. You could start pulling your database. Heck, you could even list your idea of the people who are like the most wanted, talent's most wanted list. And you could list it from your perspective in your industry. Again, what that does is separate you from somebody who has a measly little Microsoft Word table or an Excel document that's sitting on somebody's laptop, probably saved on their hard drive, versus a person that I can go to Amazon.com and see that this company is serious about talent. It does not take rocket science to self-publish. And again, organizations can self-publish. You don't have to go to some publishing house. There are all sorts of hybrid publishing techniques that you can get your product out. I mean, heck, I've published an entire audiobook in one day. Did you hear what I just said? In one day. So to tell me one day, well, that one day could be today and you have it working for you. So publish annually. Again, keyword on annual. You got to continue with providing an expectation that next year you're going to have something new and better and interesting for people to stay connected and continue to follow you. Idea number 3. I said 3, right? 3 game-changing ideas. I'm going to try to make you different from the other people. Okay, so this is create a structure of community service. Now, while that doesn't seem like a game-changing idea, let me tell you how it can be executed. Most organizations have gone to some level of supplier diversity in particular, right? So we're going to look at 2 things: supplier diversity program, as well as this leadership track that some people tend to get put on. Okay. instead of having this gray, you know how I feel about gray, this gray area of what makes a leader great or what makes a supplier great, be very specific. You should create the structure of community service. Let's say I'm ABC Company, right? And I've got individual people that tell me on my team that they want to grow to be leaders in the organization. And I've got vendors who tell me that they want to work with my company. They would like us to hire them for whatever they do. Okay, I've got these two sets of people. And I'm going to say, great. Well, you know what? The greatest thing about ABC Company is that we know the people in the community. So step one, if you want to work further with us, a requirement, your entry fee is that you're going to need to volunteer at one of our community service events and wear one of our ABC Company volunteer t-shirts. And you're going to need to do that because we need to see you in action. I don't want to just hear about your hopes and dreams. That's great, but there's got to be more. And so in order for you to be a part of a strong, growing, innovative team at ABC Company, I want to see that you can contribute to the volunteerism that is near and dear to our company's heart. Now, what does that accomplish? Number one, you get a lot of people volunteering for your community service efforts, and you really can start to jump out there in the community in a larger way with your name everywhere. Why do I say that's important? Well, I'm going to use the example of my father, who's passed away now, but phenomenal career while he was on this earth. Two things that stand out to me in my dad's career. Number one, his very best friend, dearest friend in life, Elvin Bethea, he met at a Lou Rawls benefit as they were, doing this telethon, the Lou Rawls UNCF telethon. My dad was actually the representative for Allstate Insurance Company to deliver the check and go on television and do all that kind of stuff. So that's exciting, seeing your dad on TV. And just so happened, he didn't know it, unbeknownst to him, the representative from the Houston Oilers was Elvin Bethea. And Elvin played for the Houston Oilers for 16 years, very long career. He was a player rep for, I believe, 15 out of those 16 years. So he always did those kinds of things. Well, they meet backstage, and just so happened on the schedule, they were destined to be on stage at the same time, going back to back, handing their check off to the whole Lou Rawls event for UNCF. Why is that important? Do you know that those two were best friends from that moment forward? And to this day, Elvin is such an important part of our family's life. Imagine what community service that one moment in time did for two families and for our lives. I couldn't come close to telling you the impact that community service has done. So you want to be very specific about creating those opportunities for your team members and creating it for the community. You would be amazed at what just those single moments, just the impact that it can have. Now I'm going to add to this. The second example, again, with my dad going into the community and speaking to kids during their career day, right? And so he went to one of the local high schools. I believe it was Willow Ridge High School, which is the high school that I attended. So he goes to this high school to speak about his career as an Allstate sales agent. Just normal thing, right? And of course, he loved being a sales agent at Allstate. So I'm sure it came across. Well, it came across so well, by the way, that the teacher who was in the classroom, at the classroom he spoke in, she actually, at the end of the school year, quit being a teacher. Not that I'm advocating leaving the profession, but she quit being a teacher and she became an Allstate agent. Imagine the impact of just being in the community for your organization, doing what you do, talking about, your passion for being connected to your career, and look at the impact. Allstate gained a new, dedicated, enthusiastic sales professional, all from that one moment in time. It doesn't get any better than that to me. So there is a very real reason, because when you can focus in, kind of like put it under the microscope and look at what community service really can do for your organization, it can have a huge impact. But you have to be very specific, be strategic about what you do. And again, if I were you, this is the, game changing idea number 3, if I were you, I would be making a very formal structure and requirement about connecting the community with people who say that they want to work with you. And I'm telling you, there would be a requirement of the amount of give somebody that was interested in being promoted within the company, and a vendor who wanted to work with the company. There would be a requirement of community service on behalf of the company. There just would be. And you'd be amazed. Look, this is why you've got soft drink companies that want their vending machines in the high schools. Why? Because they know if I can get you hooked on my soft drink in high school, you're going to be drinking that soft drink for life. And it's going to have huge impact and upside as the trends move forward. But, so getting to that community first from a business standpoint is extremely important. But just from the standpoint of connecting with people and strengthening their passion for why they come to work every day or why they want to work with your company, that community service element can really be that secret tie that kind of binds you to a positive future and positive outcome. So can I tell you how to do all 3 of these things? Of course I can. That's where the consulting part comes in. Definitely, if you need to connect with me, fearless@jennifertebow.com. You can go to jennifertebow.com. Just have to spell it correctly. Or you can find me on LinkedIn as well and some other places too. But those are 3 ideas that are game changing. But you have an opportunity, instead of just talking about it and listening to it, to really do it. It takes dedication. And if that's what you're interested in, being dedicated to new outcomes, and one of these 3 or all 3 of these will be a good direction for you to go. And of course, I've got tons more. So make sure you connect with me. I'm going to try to say this is it for today, but who knows? Heck, I'm having fun. Hope you guys take care today. Again, it's Thursday, May 30th, 2013. I'm Jennifer Tebow, and this was 3 game-changing ideas. Take care.